Greetings, microscopists. This is Eric Miller, and this is part 7 in our series on exploring the best practices on how to purchase an electron microscope. The tip we have today may have some roadblocks to overcome, but if nothing else, it'll make sure that you are fully informed. So before you buy, you should always calculate the cost of ownership. So, what does that mean? First, it involves the obvious things: the purchase price of the instrument, the shipping costs, taxes. Second is going to be the installation costs for the instrument, which might involve any renovations or other building modifications that you have to make to get the instrument into the room. Lastly, you've got service costs. So, what do we want to do with these numbers, and what do they give us? Well, we're going to take all of these numbers, we're going to add them all up so that we can estimate the costs of owning the instrument over 5 and 10 years. Usually, the vendor won't be able to give you exact costs for the service agreement that far ahead of time because it's in the future, but they can give you an estimate. Normally, service costs will increase by 2 to 3% per year, depending on economic conditions. Let's say you're looking at microscopes from two different vendors, Microscope A and Microscope B. Microscope A has a very low purchase price, and your management loves that. But let's say that after a demo, you prefer Microscope B, which is more expensive. Once you run these numbers, you find out that Microscope B doesn't require any building modifications, and that the service costs are lower. This means that even with the higher purchase price, the instrument is going to be less expensive to own after 5 years and a lot less expensive to own after 10. But here's where the problem comes in. So you take these cost estimates to management, and it turns out they don't care that Microscope B will actually cost less money over time. They only care about Microscope A's initial lower purchase price. So why is that? What often happens is that the purchasing budget comes from your department's budget, but the building renovations and the service agreement costs come from somebody else's budget. So it does your department no good to purchase the more expensive microscope that has the lower operating costs. This is a pretty common position for microscopists and other lab personnel to get stuck in for all sorts of large purchases. So, what can you do? As far as I can see it, you have 3 main options. Number 1, give up and purchase Microscope A, which is cheaper to purchase but more expensive to own. Number 2, keep going up the management ladder until you find someone who is interested in hearing that Microscope B is actually cheaper to own. If you go high enough, you can probably find that person. The downside is that your immediate management is probably not going to be too happy about you doing that. Number 3, the last option is an option I'll have to save for a separate video because it's such an interesting proposition. So come back next time to hear more about it. The bottom line here is that it's very easy to be scared away by an instrument with a very high purchase price, and it's very easy to be attracted to an instrument with a very low purchase price. But that may not tell the entire financial story. The moral of today's video is to always be informed. That's all I've got for you today. I hope it was informative for you. Make sure to subscribe and come back for future episodes to learn the best ways on how to purchase an electron microscope. Check out my socials, and please contact me if you're interested in having me come to your site to teach you how to use your SEM. Thanks, we'll see you next time.